We really do.
Well, this past weekend, partygoers and residents in Ocho Rios and surrounding areas experienced a gridlock like no other. Some persons took to social media to complain about the traffic, in particular the roads, and how that infrastructure is set up. Here to discuss and hash this out with us is the opposition spokesperson on transport, works, and housing, Mikael Phillips. Good morning, Mikael. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Morning to both of you. I hope you had a rested Easter holiday.
Absolutely. Didn't go out in the traffic.
We did. We hope you had the same.
Yeah.
I spent my whole weekend at the Carifta Games, which was good.
Very nice. And champs before that, so you've been really doing
Yes,
sporting events.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
When you saw what was happening in Ocho Rios, tell me what your thoughts were, especially in light of the article that you wrote, according to this, slamming the $5 billion budgeted for roadworks for 2022-23. What were your thoughts when you saw what was happening?
Well, I said, here we go again. It's just we have been showing our inefficiencies and our incapability of planning. I saw the comments from the municipal council over the weekend about rescinding the permits for the Pearly Beach. There are others who said that too many permits were given along that stretch in in the St. Anne's area. What came to mind is that it reminds me of what happened out on Palisades a couple of years ago, and just the inability for the authorities to properly plan, because it is not as if the municipal council alone issue permits. The police has to also issue permits. And if it is that a particular amount of permits come to both authorities, meaning the police and the municipal council, then there should be proper planning put in place to ensure that there's proper traffic management, ensure that there's spacing between there's adequate parking, and to put out proper enough personnel out there to ensure to manage the traffic itself. I don't think in this instance it has anything to do with the infrastructure, but we do have a problem nationally in pertaining to our infrastructure.
Yeah, one of the things you've said is that the roads are deteriorating faster than they can be repaired due to insufficient funding. Expand on that for me, Mikael.
Well, if you look at what is happening now to our road network, we have a very dense road network. The government has been expending money on new infrastructure, but if you look at what is in the budget itself for to maintain the current infrastructure, it is a poorly sum. The CEO for the National Works Agency that said that we would need about $1 trillion to bring our road network up to proper standard. And if you look at this budget that has been tabled and passed in Parliament, it is near $2 billion less than was budgeted last year. So what that is saying is that the priority to maintain the current infrastructure is not on the front burner of the government right now. And when you look at what had happened about 2 years ago when we had some flood rains, I can mention the corridor from Maypen to Mandeville to Porus. It's in its worst condition ever. And if you go right across the island, the rehabilitation of bringing these roads back to proper driving condition has not been done. And if you're cutting the budget, this is not the place to cut the budget.
Which is the place to cut the budget is the thing, because my gosh, we seem to have a multiplicity of issues that we need to address now: crime, education, public sector issues. It's almost like, what does Solomon do, with this baby?
The thing is, I've been saying, and let me remind the viewers that about 2 to 3 years ago, the Road Maintenance Fund was repealed by the government. I have been saying that we will not be able to maintain our road networks unless you have a dedicated fund. If my research, and I invite everybody else to research it, there's no developed country or developing country in the world that has a proper road maintenance without a dedicated fund. It is going to be highly impossible for us to do it out of our current budget. So, where we had the road maintenance fund, which is now repealed, I'm encouraging the government to go back that route in having a dedicated fund to deal with road maintenance.
Yeah, particularly the rural areas, Mikael. We did cross country, and a lot of the communities that we went to access the community, roads were a challenge. How do we balance building new roads and new highways but then there are roads that people have to use, our children, they have to get to work, and those need repairing. Where does the balance come in?
What we have to do is to accept that road infrastructure, transportation overall, which includes road and public transport, and just providing transport for the general public, movement of goods, is very important to the growth of any economy. And as I mentioned before, I think the solution for Jamaica is having that dedicated fund. It's not really increasing taxes, but attributing taxes to this dedicated fund, current taxes to this dedicated fund, and ensuring that we have enough to maintain our roads. Majority of the road network is in the control of the municipal council, which has near non-existent budget in maintaining roads. And then you have the National Works Agency that has the major roads, which its budget is just insufficient to maintain roads. So there has to be a national dialogue on infrastructure, not only just roads, but housing. You have the infrastructure dealing with gullies also. The government said that they had done a master plan in dealing with gullies, but then we're going to hear that there's not enough funds to deal with them. And it costs more in the long run. We have to look at even how we develop roads. We have to set a certain standard that we get a longer lifespan out of these roads that we're building.
Which includes how you choose your contractors,
in the short term,
right, Mikael?
it costs you more to maintain.
Yeah. You also mentioned about contractors. Local
yes,
contractors.
yes.
You're suggesting we go that route?
Well, no. Well, we do. Let me put it in this term. We have, out of all our grade 1 contractors locally, 5% of those contractors are foreign companies, but yet still they get 90% of the jobs that are there for grade 1 contractors. And what I was saying in my presentation is that we have to protect our local industry. We have this narrative that we don't have any good contractors locally or engineers, and that is far from the truth. Contractor can only build what he's contracted to build. So if the works agency puts out a tender for a roadway, they do the scoping, they do the design, meaning the works agency, and then put it out to tender. And I think that we have to look at the industry as we do for the BPO, for the tourism industry, and to ensure that Jamaicans survive in the industry and we don't give away all the jobs to foreign companies and have our contractors being subcontractors to these foreign companies. We just want a level playing field. We're suggesting a level playing field for our contractors, that they can bring in equipments that in the same way that the foreign contractors bring in, and that the taxes that our local contractors have to pay, that foreign contractors pay the same, but level the playing field that our local contractors can be competitive locally here in Jamaica and not have to fight to survive in their own country of their birth.
All right. Thank you, Mikael, for speaking with us. Boy, I really hope we resolve it and find something that works, because when you look at even Trelawney, the Troy Bridge, and that connects Southern and Northern Trelawney, and that still has, it's people's lives and how they go about their daily activities. And
we have to put importance to transport, not only just talk the talk, but I think we have ignored it. Successive governments have ignored it long enough that we are now at the brink of just a crumbling infrastructure. So we have to put some attention to it and the resources that are needed.
Thank you very much. Opposition
Thanks for having me.
spokesman on transport, works and housing, Mikael Phillips. Coming up next, we're going to catch up with a very talented visual artist and find out how he navigates a creative space. That's next.